What is up, guys? Welcome back. Today I wanted to do, well, actually one of the first decks I ever started playing. I always had so much fun with this deck. It is, of course, Skull Servants. It isn't by any means a very competitive deck, but I tried to make it as competitive as possible. So there are some cards in here that aren't really budget friendly, but you can always cut them for something else. I just feel like this is one of the most consistent builds that you can have with this deck, with the biggest purpose, of course, to bring out your King of the Skull Servants with as much attack as possible. So without further ado, let's get right into this. I am, of course, playing 3 copies of Skull Servant. You need to play this because you are running 3 copies of White Prince and you want to be able to send as many as possible to make your king as big as possible. After that, the best card for the Skull Servants, of course, White Baking, allowing you to search to your hand, then discard to the graveyard, is so incredibly powerful for this deck. I'm also running 3 copies of White Mare. White Mare is very good because you can shuffle back some of your banished cards. 3 copies of Lady in White. Same reason that we're running 3 Skull Servant, because you want to send her to the graveyard with the effect of your White Prince. Do keep in mind that this one also has an effect that when it's on the field, they cannot target your King of the Skull Servant or any zombie for that matter with spell effect. So that is very, very good. Also, trap cards no longer work. So when the Lady in White is on the field, your King of the Skull Servants can no longer be targeted by infinite impermanence or things like that. After that, I am of course running 3 copies of King of the Skull Servants. This one is absolutely insane. It gains 1000 attack for every Skull Servant in the graveyard, and every card that you have right here counts as a Skull Servant in the graveyard, so this one can get very, very big. And then closing things off, I'm only playing 2 copies of White Princess. Her effect doesn't really come up that much, but she is a very good card nonetheless, so that's why I run her at 2. Now on to your best starter, of course, 3 copies of Unizombie. This one is absolutely insane and it enables most of your plays, so that's why I run it at 3. And then for some one-offs, I run 1 Mizuki, 1 Jacobolan, and 1 Plague Spreader Zombie, because we also run a Crystron Halqifibrax package. After that, the only hand trap I play in this build is 2 copies of Ash Blossom, and that's it for the monsters. Now let's get into the spells. This is where it gets a little expensive. I am running 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. This card is absolutely nuts. After that, I am also running 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. Yeah, needless to say, this is a very, very, very good card, but it's also very expensive. After that, I'm running 2 copies of Burial from a Different Dimension. I feel like this card is actually super good because you can use the effect of White Prince in the graveyard, banishing itself and 2 other Skull Servants to special summon your King of the Skull Servants, and then with this card you can shuffle them back into your graveyard, making your king a whole lot stronger. So that's why I am running these. For some one-offs, Monster Reborn, a 1-for-1, Foolish Burial, and then as a last card I'm also running 1 Call by the Grave. And that's it for the main deck. Now let's get into the extra deck. Alright, first up I am running 1 Relinquished Anima. Sometimes you have to get your White Prince or your White Baking off the field. That's why I also run 1 Linkaribo, just to get your level 1 monsters off the field. For some Link 2s I am running 1 Vampire Sucker, 1 copy of IP Masquerena, 1 Crystron Halqifibrax, and then a single copy of Nightmare Phoenix. You could also potentially maybe cut the Phoenix and run the Vendred Savior, but I really like the Phoenix in this build, and that's why I run him. Nightmare Unicorn, of course, when you get IP Masquerena on the field on your opponent's turn, you can link off into Unicorn and then bounce back one of their cards. And then, of course, one Access Code Talker to help you out closing games and clearing boards. One copy of Levier, mainly to get cards like your White Princess along with your Lady in White, which are all level 3s of the field, and then you're bringing back one of your banished White Princes if that comes up. That's why I got Levier in there. And then onto the Healthy Fibrex Unizombie Synchro package. I am running the one Shooting Riser Dragon, which has the effect that it can also dump a card to the graveyard, so that is incredible for this deck. One Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. This one grows stronger with every zombie in your graveyard, and every card that you run is a zombie, so that is very, very good. Chaos Ruler, of course. Yeah, you just want to mill as many cards as possible to make your king stronger. Beals of the Diabolic Dragons. This one is absolutely insane. It cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. And when you take damage from this card, it only grows stronger, so it's actually a really, really powerful card. Crystal Wing Synchro, dealing with monster effects, and then of course one Borlode Savage Dragon to have an Omni Negate on the field. And that is it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.